It's WRAL Triangle and 2. I'm Mark Bergin. He is WRAL Sports Executive Producer Pat Welter. We get to talk NBA draft today. Pat, we're on the eve of what's one of the greatest sports day of the year. I hope you are well, my friend.
Oh, I mean, and what a great time. I know it's like the every time, every year it comes at this time, but when you're riding off the high of the NBA Finals, the Stanley Cup, and you're just staring at the blank void of summer and no sports, it's great to have the NBA draft, to get excited again, to think about these guys you watched in college and just imagine how they could fit in the pros. I love the NBA draft. I love kind of plant my flag on some guys, and I've been very right and I've been very wrong. So we'll see how it goes.
Plant the flag, capture the flag, Cooper Flagg. He's going to go number 1 to the Dallas Mavericks. I tell you what, Pat, there's no more superlatives or adjectives that I can use, but he is headlining a draft class, in my opinion, that's going to be heralded when we look back at, when we think of this year's draft class, the 2025 class. I think we're going to think about it along the lines of, say, the 1996 NBA draft, the 2003 draft. And I think Cooper at Flagg is the best of the best and the best prospect we've seen in a few years, certainly. It's going to be exciting. We know he's going to go to Dallas, but I really don't know what more there is to say. What was a brilliant freshman season at Duke.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know ultimately that this class will live up to the likes of like LeBron, Wade, Carmelo, Anthony. You know, if we're talking like 2003, as far as multiple stars, I think that possibility is there. But as far as like number 1 overall prospects, Cooper is maybe not as like high end as we've seen in the past, like unicorn level. When you're talking about like Victor Wembanyama, Sion Williamson, those kind of players, as far as like the upside, but the floor with Flagg is so incredibly high, so incredibly stable, that he's a lock, I think, to be pretty much immediately a top 20 player in the NBA. At least for me, as far as like what he brings as far as motor, defense, character, and then offensive ability to grow and develop more as a scorer. So yeah, I'm all in on Cooper Flagg. It's weird to say he's like polarizing. I feel like he is to some people. Like I heard someone on Bill Simmons' podcast recently compare him to Detlef Schrempf. I mean, who doesn't love a good Detlef Schrempf drop? But I think he's going to be a little bit better than that. Where are you at on him?
I mean, he led Duke in every category. So whatever you need him to do, points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, he can do for you. So for me, with the competitive nature, that's where I think he's can't miss. Now, could he be an elite level superstar? That remains to be seen. But I think he's going to have an instant impact on a Mavericks team that I think many can say will be among one of the better teams in the Western Conference when we look at next season.
Well, and I think what you love about him is just the positional versatility, which is like become almost like a CEO corporate buzzword for the NBA. But with him, it's true. And it applies to both ends of the floor. Like he is a forward, in position, whether you want to call it a power forward or a small forward, I don't really care, because he's kind of a point forward. Like Duke ran their offense through him. And then defensively, he's everywhere. He's a rim protector. He's a perimeter defender. And then he's also your leader. So I don't know what else you want. Like, to me, is trying to find like a comp. Like, he's a little bit Giannis, as far as like the motor, the tunnel vision focus and love of basketball and ignoring all the outside noise. But he's got a better perimeter game than him. He's a little bit Paolo Banchero in that he's a forward that you can run the offense through, to give it another Duke comp. But I think he's better defensively, less sophisticated offensively. So it's a great fit for Dallas, who I guess karma isn't real, because, everything worked out for them after shipping away Luka Doncic and they get the next generational prospect.
Yeah, you're in my brain, because I wanted to talk about that before we move on to some of the other players with triangle ties, is that this wasn't part of Nico Harrison's plan, the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks, considering Dallas, it was less than 2% chance to get the top pick.
Yeah. I know.
So, like, I feel good for Mavericks fans because they were blindsided in the middle of the night with the Luka Doncic trade to the Los Angeles Lakers. When I remember when Shams put that tweet out there, Pat, it was like, did he get hacked? Is this real?
Right.
Is this actually happening? And so I feel good for Mavericks fans where I am not saying Cooper Flagg is Luka Doncic, but the one thing you're not going to question with Cooper Flagg is his level of care and his dedication to the game. That is something that is unquestioned. I'm not saying they're even on the same level coming in, but in terms of helping soften that blow of losing a Luka Doncic, that is something I feel good about if I am a Dallas Mavericks fan.
So, I mean, I guess we got to point out the warts, like if there are any, and there are few. And a lot of it just comes from he only played one college season. But when you go back to the Houston game, the inability for that team that still blows, I think, everyone's mind, including the players on the team and the coach, John Shire, how they lost that game to Houston by basically not being able to score the final 10 minutes. And then you look at the other Duke losses on the season, which a lot of them came down to one possession. A lot of them came down to the ball in the hands of Cooper Flagg. And he just never hit that clutch shot. Now, he had clutch moments, had clutch games, showed up every night the whole season. So some of that to me is it just small sample size? Is there some sort of like the get first take on it, lack of clutch gene? I don't think so. I think that gets really overrated by it being like 5 games that we're talking about in 5 possessions or less. But, I think that's just going to come with time and development. And I think you saw in those early season moments with Kentucky and Kansas, his offensive game wasn't quite sophisticated enough yet. And I think you saw that grow over the course of the season. Like, he's going to need to work on like having, just those perimeter moves that the best have out there to create space. And then to be able to hit that type of step back jumper or get to the lane and finish, those are the moves he's going to work on at the next level. And as we kind of hit on, like, there's no doubt that his work ethic and the way he approaches basketball, he's going to at least try to fill those gaps.
Yeah, I appreciate you pointing out the things that any prospect will need to improve upon. That's the glass half empty, the glass half full, yeah. Pat. Let me just throw on that highlight dunk against Pittsburgh, and we can watch that on loop until the end of time.
Oh, I mean, that play was that was the moment, right? We're talking about he didn't have an iconic clutch finish. That was the iconic dunk. And I know, like, you throw what we do at WRAL, putting video together like that. We had that thing on a loop. It's like, how many times can we show this? Can we show it again? Yes, we can.
Yeah.
And, so there's that. There's the Pitt moment. There's he had like 40 against Notre Dame. There's the 30 he dropped on Arizona in the NCAA tournament. Could he have been better against Houston? Yes, but let's also remember this guy appeared to have a season-ending ankle injury in the ACC tournament. Like, I mean, I was there. Like, I saw him limp off the court, and I was texting people. I'm like, I think he's done. I think it might be broken. Like, just the amount of force that landed on his ankle and how much it, you saw it kind of bend, and he's back out there contributing within weeks. So, I mean, that speaks to his ability to adapt to not being at his best. And still giving his best. It speaks to his toughness. So, yeah, I'm glass half full for sure. I'm right there with you on Cooper Flagg.
It's a perfect segue. In an alternate world, Pat, Kon Knueppel ran the show in the ACC tournament. We got a glimpse of it.
Yeah.
Remember, Kon Knueppel committed to Duke before Flagg. Flagg reclassified. So we got to see snippets of the Kon Knueppel show at Duke. And Kon is moving up draft boards very, very quickly. I've seen him go as high to number 4 when the Charlotte Hornets pick. And if I had to decide right now on the eve of the draft, if I had to guess, that's where I'd say he gets selected on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I that's interesting. I don't look at him as like a top 4 overall level prospect, but I think some of what you're getting there is there's a safety that comes with the skill set. Like, what you're getting with Kon Knueppel. And it's funny, like, he's got almost like the recruiting, like the prospect profile of like a guy that played 5-6 years in college, yet he's a true freshman that's just wise beyond his years and his whole approach. And one of the reasons I thought Duke would run away with the title was, like we talked about Cooper Flagg's like intensity and drive and focus. Kon Knueppel was right there with him, if not even more intense with how he handled himself at Duke. So there's a safety in what you're getting with him as far as like he's a 3-point shooter, right? And like that's what the league's built on now. 40.6% from three, 14.4 points per game with a higher upside, as you mentioned in the ACC tournament. There's a lack of a superstar ceiling with him, like Ace Bailey. Like Ace Bailey could be a top 10 player in the league. Ace Bailey could be Jason Tatum. Kon Knueppel is not going to be that. He profiles a little bit to me as like, could he be Klay Thompson on the high end? Like if he could really hone that skill as far as the 3-point shot, I think they have a very similar looking shot, great base, really consistent release. On the low end, is he Bojan Bogdanovic from the Pacers? Now that name doesn't sound sexy. That guy didn't look cool playing basketball, but like you look up in an NBA playoff game and Bogdanovic would be going toe to toe with LeBron James, you know, back when he was on the Pacers. So I think there's a safety with Knueppel that speaks to that kind of projection you're getting. I don't know if that's the right pick for Charlotte at 4, but when you already have Brandon Miller on the perimeter and LaMelo Ball running the point, and you're looking at things and you have Mark Williams and you're like, maybe we just need a shooter. There he is, locked in. You're ready to go.
Pat, what I really like about Knueppel is his shooting splits. It's 48% from the floor and also from 3-point range, above 40%. He's close to that 90% clip from the foul line as well. So you mentioned the shooting, the floor spacing. To me, he was able to do that at a very efficient level. And he was also Duke's second leading scorer at the same time. So a guy who knows how to play the right game and take the right types of shots, and very efficient when he puts the ball up as well.
I like the way he uses his body too. Like the downside on him is like lack of explosiveness. Like he's close to 6'7" and is, if not 6'7" or higher. I haven't seen the combine measurements, but like does not play above the rim, right, in any way. But is really good at that, like get the guy on your back hip kind of technique that you see from Luka Doncic, you see from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Brunson, some of the best players in the league. And he has that mastery. Like he's a thick, well-built player that comes from an athletic family that was raised for this, built for this. So I really like that. You know, he reminds me like speak of the rise, like Jared McCain went 16th overall to the Sixers, another Duke guy, another shooter, and was just immediately good. And like eventually as we start overthinking these prospects and fall in love with like the upside that doesn't ever come to fruition, like Kon Knueppel, like I know this guy's going to be good.
Another Duke guy, Khaman Maluach, expected to be first-round pick, if not a lottery pick as well. Will help a team with their interior defense, Pat. Maybe I'm an idiot, but I just go back to the last time I saw him play basketball in the Final Four. I still am at a loss for how he didn't have any rebounds against Houston. But other than that, I thought he played really a rim runner, guy who can protect the hoop, who can rebound despite the fact that we saw in the Final Four, but someone who's going to help a modern team for what you need in a modern big. And I think he does go in the lottery as well. What say you, Pat Welter?
Yeah, I think it's another one. It's a similar way of looking at it to the Kon Knueppel thing where like he doesn't have the upside as some of these other guys in the top 10 as a VJ Edgecombe, an Ace Bailey. But he gives you that positional need as far as a rim protector, and you know it's going to work. Like he's a little bit in between Derek Lively and Mark Williams to me. Like clearly John Shire values this position where you have a rim protector and it changes what you can do on the floor. Maluach doesn't have like the side to side athleticism and twitch that Lively had. Like Lively's feet for a guy that big were incredible. And Williams moves very slow laterally. Maluach is a little bit in between, but he's bigger than both of them. Like he can dunk standing up. Like he doesn't even have to dunk, Mark. Like the lobs they were throwing up to him, and like, you know, I know they've got Mark Williams in Charlotte, and I was looking at his numbers, 15 and 10 surprised me. So I guess probably they're out on taking another Duke big, but like him with LaMelo running those lobs to me is interesting. Him as high as the Philly at 3. Like, you look at Philly and you're like, well, this Embiid thing, can we get a little big man insurance? We've got Tyrese Maxey. I don't know, something to look at there. I mean, you're like, where's he gonna go? Like, anybody that just is like, all right, I want to get a rim protector, I want a lob threat, I want to have a defensive chess piece. Like, the thing with the modern NBA is like, these guys can get played off the floor in certain sets, but then also if you put that chess piece in a playoff series, it's going to force the other team to adapt. So is he a superstar that can play in the final 5 minutes of a championship game? I'm not sure, but like, he's going to help get you there, with what he brings.
I don't discount the international experience. It's something I know we've talked off the air about with Cooper Flagg and the Team USA practices. But remember, Maluach was on a South Sudan team that, going up against Team USA in an exhibition, should have won in advance of the Olympics. And Maluach was in the rotation playing in that game, going up against the best of the best that Team USA has to offer. I don't discount that experience as well, as both of those players come in as rookies to the NBA.
Yeah, and you go back to like that Houston game, like, talk about the international side. Like, there was a lot going on politically at the time where he wasn't maybe entirely sure what his next few weeks looked like. Did that have an effect? It seemed like it might have. But yeah, I mean, this is a guy that, like, as far as like bigs, like, he doesn't, like, the big superstars now are guys that you can run your offense through. So he isn't Jokic, he isn't Embiid. We're talking about the Sixers. He isn't Wembanyama, but he is, to bring back those Duke guys in, he's a Derek Lively type that can really change what you can do on the floor.
All right, the last player we're going to talk about extensively is someone, Pat, you've covered quite a bit. The pride of Pittsburgh. Yeah. I know you did a documentary about Drake Powell. You're going to be at his draft party on Wednesday night. Here's what does not make sense to me, and this is where I want to start this conversation. At the NBA Combine, he was measured at a 43-inch vertical. What was Carolina doing with this guy this past season? If he can scrape the top of the backboard, the highest vertical at the NBA Combine by several inches compared to any other prospect. But what do you see in Drake Powell as a prospect going into Wednesday night?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things to unpack there. I mean, he went viral for an interview he did at the Combine. To your point there, like, what was Carolina doing with him? And, I'll just read it. He said, I feel like I'm the same two-way player that was coming into college. Obviously, I don't think I got to showcase that at UNC, but the potential is still there. I'm ready to learn as much as I can and continue to grow. Now, that quote got twisted into being a dig on Hubert Davis and his ability to develop. Speaking with some sources close to Powell, that's not what he ever intended it to be. It was just like, hey, I was there playing the role I was asked to play and the offense that was set up. And Carolina was mismatched last year. Their best 4 players were guards, and that pushed Drake, a true freshman that is very much an additive player, very much a let the game come to him player, very much a I will do what is asked of me player, like a great kid, very coachable. So yeah, he did what he was asked to do, and he was asked to play out of position to be the best for the team because they were undersized terribly. Mm-hmm. It was clear to anyone who watched them as soon as they walked out on the court, is like, oh no, they messed up. And UNC and Powell to a certain extent didn't get unlocked until they finally, if you want to criticize Hubert Davis, it's like, why did this take so long to play Jalen Withers at the 4, then Allen Lubin at the 5, shift Drake to the 3. And that's when I think you saw him play a little bit more naturally. And you mentioned the documentary. Like, I was at all of his key moments his senior year in high school, and watching him play at Northwood, he was just as much of a point guard as he was a perimeter player, playmaker. Now, you probably say that about a lot of guys in high school, like, just put the ball in your best player's hands. But the passing to me was gifted. So I think this is a guy that profiles that he could slot in potentially in the 1, 2, or 3 role in the NBA, depending on how the team sees him. He certainly immediately projects as a 3-and-D player, is athletic enough to defend multiple positions, has proven he could play the 4 in college. I don't think he's going to play the 4 in the NBA. So, I mean, when I look at him, Mark, I'm like, is this guy really that different than VJ Edgecombe? who's projected to go number 3 overall. They're like the same size, the same position, same athletic profile. No, Edgecombe put up 15 points a game and Drake put up 7. But the differences between them are not that great.
Yeah, the versatility to switch out on the perimeter. And that's where, yes, the explosiveness of a 43-inch vertical, you look at the dunking ability, the ability to throw up an alley-oop. But I look at that as out on the perimeter, he can be agile enough to go toe-to-toe with whoever he's matched up against. And again, the switchability where I look at the teams that make the conference finals and they run screen and rolls and they hunt whichever the opposing team's weakest defender is. That's not going to be an issue with him when he goes to the NBA. Now, can he develop his offensive game? Can he hit corner threes? Can he hit shots when he's available, when they're available? That remains to be seen in terms of how he'll develop. But I look at the athleticism and it's like, man, that potential is something that I think that quote you read, Pat, it's put it in a very polite way, but it's like, hey, I can do a lot more than what might be on tape from this past season at UNC. You mentioned the perimeter skills offensively, though. I don't know how you were going to do that, considering you had RJ Davis, who is a 5-year player, and then Elliot Cadeau as well with his playmaking ability, where those minutes were going to come with Powell with the ball in his hands. You can understand why he was almost the odd man out.
Yeah, and I thought he was going to come back, and that wasn't because like I talked to him. It was just kind of like looking at it, like he's projected to go late first round. And at that position, once you're in that realm, you really don't know. Like I've heard people close to him that it could be 20 to 30. That, Brooklyn brought him back in for a second workout over the weekend. Brooklyn has, I think, 4 first-round picks. So, that's definitely a spot. Clearly, they're interested. Orlando brought him in after the trade for Desmond Bane. And having covered Orlando before I moved up to the Triangle and knowing what Jeff Weltman likes, very much a defensive first organization. They need 3-point shooting and they're big on character, and Drake is about as good of a kid as you're going to meet. Super internally driven and focused. So I'm high on him. Like there was flashes where like there was an explosive play against Virginia, just like caught the ball, didn't even think, one step dunk. And I'm like, that's it. Like, that's what is there. Like, when he wasn't thinking, because sometimes I think the knock on Hubert Davis is some guys don't look comfortable out there, even if Hubert says publicly, I want everybody to do whatever in their bag. Like that's kind of something he said. I don't always see that on the court at UNC. I see some guys hesitating a little bit, unless they're RJ Davis. So I saw it a little bit with Drake when he wasn't hesitating, when he wasn't thinking, you saw the athleticism. And I think there's more to his offensive game. It remains to be seen.
Any other nuggets you can share about Drake Powell, given your relationship with him and his family, Pat?
Just that he's gonna, they're riding the highs and the lows. It's fun to get a little bit of insight on the process. And, it's not like it was an easy decision for him and his family to leave UNC. Both his parents went there. He's from Pittsburgh, which is right next to Chapel Hill. This was not an easy choice. I think he just thought that if I come back, I could be in the same position next year. The draft's weird like that, where like with perimeter players, unless you're 6'9", you can fall into that late first round, second round vortex, so he felt like he was ready. And I don't know if he's ready to be a star in the NBA right away, but like I think he's ready to go to an NBA organization and get that coaching, get that skill development, and be able to contribute at least at the 3-point line and defensively right away.
Yeah, finding a role in the league. Pat, there are several other players that we're going to be tracking both Wednesday night in the first round, Thursday night's the second round. With Duke, you've got, Sion James, you've got Tyrese Proctor, RJ Davis, if he'll get picked as well at some point in the second round too. And even if he doesn't, which team he ends up signing with once you get into the summer league. So there's going to be a lot. We're really excited to see your coverage too. Again, you'll be at Drake Powell's watch party as well in Pittsburgh. So really looking forward to that. If there's anything else I'm missing here, please fill in.
Hey, like, let's give RJ Davis a shot, right? Like, I covered this guy for was it 6 years? It felt like a long time between him and Armando Bacon. I'm like, can I get invited to these guys' weddings? I covered them so long, and feel like I got to know them. So RJ's a guy I root for, so I'm a little biased there, but I look at it, I'm like, if Jalen Brunson can be a top 10 player in the league, RJ's got a shot. Now, RJ is not as thick and physical as Brunson, but he's a very gifted scorer. So could he come in off the bench somewhere and give you some points? I think so. Obviously, just defensively and his size are going to be an issue, but he's a guy I root for. Great person to be around. Was a great Carolina player, second all-time leading scorer. So, hey, why not? Give him a shot.
He is the one and only Pat Welter, the WRAL sports executive producer. My name is Mark Bergin. This has been another edition of WRAL Triangle 2. Enjoy the NBA draft this week. Again, first round Wednesday night, second round Thursday. We got full coverage over on WRAL TV and WRAL Sports Fan.